Here we are at the Port Royal Marine Lab with Rick and his crew, and we'll be following Rick up into the hills where he set up the research station for the iguana project. The iguana was believed to be extinct up until about a decade ago, until it was discovered by a pig farmer who was in the protected area, pig hunter, and his dog caught a lizard. And he was savvy enough to take it up to the zoo, and voila, there was the extinct iguana. And fortunately, this program was put into place to conserve this last vestige of the iguana, which is actually surrounded by the biggest urban blight on the island. You have Spanish Town and Portmore and Kingston all crushing in on this protected zone, and it's only because of the iguana that this massive development program has been halted. So it's very sensitive. There's a lot of issues, a lot of pressures on this pristine environment. It's quite extraordinary when you get out there. You feel like you're in some remote part of Australia, northern Australia. It's gorgeous.
Where we're going?
Yeah, it's about a half an hour boat ride, then an hour's walk up the mountain. The Caribbean Sea used to be probably the highest density of sea turtles in the world once upon a time, and now there's there's about 0.3% left, not much. And they're still getting hammered. But this is basically the best nesting area left in Jamaica, is this Portland, the Keys out here. Yeah. It's probably the best nesting area left. But yeah, you get sea turtles and crocodiles nesting on pretty much all these beaches here. Not many of them anymore, but a few still. I think one year there was 4 or 5 sea turtle nests over here. I think we found 6. They'd all been eaten by pigs. Okay. And mongoose dig them up as well. They love eggs.
I'm happy with this. Yeah.
We're about a third of the way up the trail to South Camp in the southern part of the Halshire Hills, in a stand of probably secondary forest. When I'm doing the radio tracking, I do a lot of rock climbing.
Oh yeah, love it.
We're at the top of the ridge here, so this goes down into another big depression that way, going north. And this is the start of where our traps are. This is basically the start of the iguana area. There's some on that side too, but not a lot. And then this is the driveway to camp.
Reporting for IBM News, I am Robert Johnson. And that's news for the moment, brought to you by...
I'm building this big sort of little hardening facility here, like this, to grow them just a little bit bigger before I let them go. The other thing is too, is as soon as they hatch, they disperse. They just spend about 10 days just running, and they run out of the area that what we've got trapped. So there's all traps around here. So I figure if I can take that 10 days and keep them tied up somewhere for a while, then they might stay within the trapped area and survive. A lot of the trees here drop quite heavy fruits and really heavy loads, so that there's, sometimes a deep load of fruit like this on the ground. And they aren't going to grow directly under the tree, so there's something dispersing them. There's only 2 things that disperse them. That's the ground pigeon, the white-bellied fruit pigeon, and iguanas. And now in a lot of parts of the range, basically none of that fruit gets dispersed at all. Here, obviously up here, still in some areas it does. But they eat huge quantities of it and carry it, you know, quite vast distance. I mean, males will walk as much as 1 kilometre in a day. This is only 110 square kilometres here, so that's a fair bit of dispersal. And plus, the areas that the iguanas use tend to be along these areas between the rocks in the soil area. So it's actually, they usually drop the seeds in areas that it would suit a tree growing. In terms of biomass for what you could grow here, you could grow into like 10 times more than what goats. So in actual fact, if there wasn't, if they were allowed to reach their capacity, there would be really high densities. They can live in really high densities. You know, there might be, as we stand here, you could probably see maybe 50 or 60 or something like that. And in essence, that's a good opportunity to have something for food as well. That's a sheep.
I mean, sheep.
What's up, Stump?
How do you distinguish them?
Oh, you can just, they're quite distinctive. So there's so few of them, you know. And the ones that
But for the male to the female?
Oh, males are bigger. The rock tower would definitely be a good point to see if they could branch out to have these little what would you call it? Like an outreach program. It's going to be like incorporated into like, I guess initially like the restaurant, cafe type areas. You'll have like a big display of the natural surroundings, and we hope to link that with the zoo, who will come in and basically sort of maintain the enclosure and the animals, and develop an education program that can go with it, with someone that can, you know, give a talk on things. And obviously Byron and I can do talks there as well. The main thing is to have more iguanas to release back here, because simply there's just no recruitment of young ones at all. There's pretty much 100% mortality. We are getting a few now. The trapping has been consistent over the last 3 or 4 years, but it's still not much to speak of.